Very, very rewarding job. So Wayne, thank you for all your years of service and your continued years of service. These are elected offices by the congregation. The congregation is our boss. So we work for you, you elect us, you can fire us. The nominating committee has nominated Wayne Hood to fulfill his second term, Wendy Present for her first term, and Cindy Larson for her first term. I now open the floor for nominations. Are there any nominations from the floor? Seeing none, I move to close the nominations.
Is there a second?
Second. There's a second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
So I move that the elected ruling elders be elected by acclamation. Thank you. The next is the slate of nominees for the office of deacon. This is for 3-year terms. The nominating committee has nominated Gail Rowland for her first term, Kate Ingalls for her first term, and Clara Loschmidt for her first term. I owe you an apology. Let me just back up for a second. Could the ruling elders please stand to be recognized? Just so you know who everybody is. Wayne, Cindy, Laurie. Okay, there are your new ruling elders. Thank you very much for your service, and I appreciate that. Now the deacons, who are equally important. The nominating committee has appointed 3 nominees. Opportunity for nominees from the floor. Seeing none, I'll motion that we close the nominations.
Is there a second? All in favor say aye. Any opposed, like sign. Motion passes.
I move that we elect the new deacons by acclamation. Thank you. The final action is the office of commissioner. We are part of a democratic, Republican representative government. We work with the presbytery and elect commissioners to them to represent Trinity. It might be helpful to call them representatives, because that's actually what they do. The presbytery, I'm going to go off script a little bit here because of what happened yesterday. Yesterday we had an annual stated meeting of the presbytery, and there was a lot of normal, boring stuff, and committee reports and finance reports and all the stuff that go on in governance. But there was a very, very meaningful report about the future, and it sort of caught me by surprise. I hadn't expected it. It has to do with our response, the Presbyterians Church's response to the current state of the government. There's a lot of fear in the presbytery, in Arizona, in New Mexico, in the US. And what is the position of the presbytery? What is the position of the Presbyterian Church USA as we move forward in these times, these troubled times? What support are we going to receive? What legal advice can we have for those churches who elect to go against the law, go against and opt for their principles? If they want to go back to the era of Martin Luther King, of civil disobedience, where does the Presbytery Church fit into this? Can they assist us? Can they not? Can they advise us? So these are the kind of things that the presbytery and the church does, and what our role is in working with them and learning from them and advising them as to what the wishes of the congregation want to do. Our congregations are very, very independent. We pretty much get to do whatever we want under the guidelines of how the church operates. This is one role that the commissioners are playing in this purpose. So it's a very important position to fulfill. So the nominating committee has appointed John Trockenheimer as the new third commissioner. We're authorized 3 commissioners based on our attendance. Are there any nominations from the floor? Seeing none, I'll move the nominations be closed.
Is there a second? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion
Move
carries.
that we elect John by acclamation. John, would you please stand so everybody can see who you are? And John left, okay. I don't blame him.
Thank you, Chip.
Okay.
I just want to invite everyone to come February the 9th to attend the ordination, installation of elders, deacons, and commissioners. February 9th, you'll want to be here. And with that, I want to ask Clark Leschmet, who is the co-chair of our pastor nominating committee. Along with Gene Hood.
Good morning. The Pastor Nominating Committee, basically affectionately known as the PNC, we've been meeting since October, the first week of October, every Tuesday afternoon, except we did get Christmas Eve off. So we've been meeting faithfully every week. We've reached a major milestone. We have completed what's called the mission study, which takes a look at our church, our congregation, our community, put it into is it 40 pages now? A 40-page document. And we also have completed our ministry discernment profile, another document that has to go to the presbytery, to the Commission on Ministry. And we've completed those, and we'll get those down to them probably the first week of February. So, and then the really exciting stuff starts when we start getting profiles in of pastors, people who would consider coming to our church as a pastor, and we start looking at their profiles and deciding on that. I just want to point out there are 9 people in our committee. Gail Stein, affectionately known as our wordsmither, she has done the bulk of the work in putting those 2 large documents together, along with Gene Hood, who's also a wordsmither. Linda Ogo, she kind of fills in our history of the church and things like that. She's our kind of resident historian. Paul Casto, he's homesick, right? Or homesick, yes. He was our statistician. He was the one that put the survey together. And 83 of you, thankfully, completed that survey, and he made kind of sense of that so we could understand what the congregation is looking for in a pastor. Don Street, also homesick today. He was our IT guy. He makes the Zoom meeting possible. Jen Harvey, always there to make or take the minutes. Gail Shea, another historian. Where's Gail? There she is. And John Kozak, our resident kind of researcher and good guy. So sometimes a good guy, but not next Sunday, right? Yeah. Anyway, so we are meeting every week, like I said, and we'll continue doing that until we have the one person that God has appointed to come to us as our pastor. So we will continue our work, and we'll let you know periodically what's been going on. So thank you.
Thank you, Clark. The next item is the report on the presbytery. Really, the only thing that affects us is money. They have increased the per capita assessment to $40.20, an increase by $1.69. Want to go over what per capita is just for a second? I know it's annoying. Per capita is our dues that we pay for being part of the club. I realize that's kind of a layman's way of saying it, but it's our responsibility, and we are assessed per person. It has nothing to do with your offering, nothing to do with your going great out of sharing or your gifts to Sebedai or anything like that. It's a separate line item altogether. In the past 3 or 4 years, the session has felt it was our obligation to pay that amount regardless of the support we got from the congregation. So we've paid it. We only get about a third of the money, so about $4,000, $5,000 comes out of our operating budget to make up that assessment. We're trying to reach out to everybody to let them know that, yes, please support our job with the presbytery by making your per capita payment, separate item. And this year we're going to try something different. We're actually going to send everybody a bill. Of course, like any other, not like most bills, you can throw this one away. But we're asking you to do that, and we're even going to add a second line, if you would like, you can pay a double per capita assessment as we try to move money out of our operating budget back to the individual congregation members. So that's how we're going to try to address that, to live up with our obligations to our Presbyterian organization. We have we're authorized 3 commissioners based on our population of over 200 members. And 2 of the members will be continuing, me and Wayne Hood. Membership changes for last year. We started the year with 207 people. We have 3 new members join. We lost 7 members, so our ending enrollment at the end of the year is 203. As long as we have over 200, we get 3 commissioners. If we drop below 200, we get 2 commissioners. I've given you a summary budget to look at. I'm going to go over it a little bit, but if for those who want to see it, the full 60-some line item budget is available in the back of the sanctuary, but I didn't want to hand that out and get you too involved in details. We have 2 groups, income and expenses. Our general offering income, we've budgeted $400,000 of income. It's increased from last year. It's all based on what we saw at the end of 2024. 2 new items. Rental income is being increased significantly from $10,000 to $36,000. And investment income is a whole new game for us because of the Jim Love gift, because of other funds that we found which weren't being properly managed. We've created an income account, a bucket income investment program where we have certain money in CDs and treasury notes to make sure it's really, really safe. But we've also invested a lot of money that we don't need for a long time in normal security investments like people do invest. So we are doing that, and that's, as you can see, that's a large increase in income. Well, you start looking at how that fits in our expenses, and we go from last year, a deficit of $51,000 to projected budget surplus this year because of those 2 major changes in our administration and our management of the resources you've given us. You can kind of go over the expenses. The interim pastor salary, very small. That's one of the reasons we're successful this year. The family ministry salary, again, fairly small. Music staff and program costs, I've lumped everything together. Cost of Andy, cost of Kelly, and cost of music, all that stuff's together because it's really part of our organization to do that. Then the other administration, congregation support service, technical support, and then of course the big item for property maintenance and utilities and insurance. So you can kind of see how the money gets spent. If you want to see the nuts and bolts, how the sausage is made, that's available to you. The congregation doesn't have approval over this. That's the job of the session. That's why you elect us. So this is for your information. And the complete budget is available in the narthex. I'd now like to invite, John, do you want to invite?
Yes, I'd like to invite Gail Stein for mission opportunities and goals.
Hi, thanks, John, and good morning to everybody. You guys might recall that a couple of years ago at this very meeting, there was a lot of discussion and questions about what and where and how our church was participating in mission work. So a couple of us did what Presbyterians do. We formed a committee, actually a team, and we wanted to better organize around all of the good work that was going on. So Carrie Casto, Connie Palmrose, Jan Poth, my husband and I, we wrapped our arms around all of the work that was being done, and after a number of meetings and prayers and discussions, we were able to organize everything. It's so organized now that it's even on a Google Drive. So if anybody has any questions about what we do and who leads it and how much it costs and whatnot, come to any of us and we'll take you through it and explain everything that's going on. We actually got rid of a couple of activities that people seem to not really care about anymore, and then we added a few more opportunities for us. And like I said, believe it or not, everything's really nice and organized. So you all should feel really good about what our church does and how we are doing it moving into 2025. A couple of weeks ago, Carrie talked during a moment for mission about a very successful 2024 that we had, particularly in the latter part of the year when we had a number of holiday initiatives. And Carrie also talked about a new mission that we're just starting for 2025. It's our Green Bag initiative. This is the green bag. This one happens to belong to Jan. And what this is going to be is you register, you get a bag, you fill it up 6 times a year. We'll tell you the dates, bring it into church, and it gets picked up. The food that's inside of it gets picked up. And then you get your bag back for the next time. It's really, really easy. So if you want to partake in this mission, there are tent cards in Grace Mitchell on all of the tables that have a QR code or a website that you can go to, or on page 11 of today's bulletin, it's all explained. So we'd like to invite everybody who would like to be part of this to help us with that. In addition to that, by popular demand, this week we will be starting our Super Bowl food drive. Towards the end of the week, you're going to see boxes in the narthex, and each box will represent a team that's going to be participating in Super Bowl 59. And there'll also be boxes for people that don't care about football. And last year, that really got filled up a lot. And what we ask you to do is we ask you to come with either canned food or boxed food, and just simply place it in the box of the team that you'll be supporting. Today, the final teams will be decided. You place your box or your cans or whatever you bring in, as long as it's shelf stable. Place it in the box of the team that you're supporting, or if you don't care about football, put it in the I don't care about football box. Last year, we collected over 500 pounds of food, which were donated to the community covered. And we're really hoping to top that in 2025. So look for the boxes. They'll be available for the next 2 weeks. And on February 9th, which is Super Bowl Sunday, that'll be the last time you can donate. And at some point during the service, John will announce who the winning team is. And then later in the spring, we plan to bring back our diaper drive, which is also becoming a very popular drive here. We do this in conjunction with the Wrapped in Love diaper bank. Last year we were one of the largest contributors to them, so we're going to bring that back around Easter time, and we'll see what happens with that. And then in addition to all of these big initiatives that I'm talking about, there are just ongoing initiatives that have been going on for years and years and years, like the Prayer Shawl Ministry. There's a glasses collection for the Lions Club, the Joy Singers that Joy Street takes care of. There's a stamp ministry, there's a pop-top ministry, all of these things that we now have organized. And if you want to get involved in any of that, if you want to be part of the mission team, or if you want to be part of any of the ongoing missions, just grab myself or Carrie or Joy or Jan or Connie or any of those of us that are very involved in this, tell us you want to be involved, and we're really happy to have you. So I want to thank everybody who's participated in all of the mission work that we've done, and let's have a really strong 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, Mission Committee. Before Chip steps up to answer questions on the financial report, if you have a question, if you would kindly come up here so the people at home or wherever they are can hear you, and then some of us need to hear you too. So if you come to the mic if you have a question.
I don't see any questions or comments, so I'll move on now to my summary of the state of the church. Starting off with our pastor, John Morris, who has successfully made the transition from acting interim pastor to interim pastor. And as much as we would like to keep him forever, I know he has different plans. And there is a very good possibility he will not be standing here with me at this time next year. So I would like to acknowledge this contribution, his contributions to Trinity now, as more than anyone else, he has been responsible for the present health and fitness of our church, from membership involvement to the morale and efficiency of our staff, and finally to our financial strength. So John, thank you for being you. We all know and respect what a great job Kelly Walker-Hart and Andy O'Brien are doing in providing the fantastic music program, which is such an important hallmark for our church and worship service, and what Bill Bryant and Jolene Hessler are doing in keeping the business us open and business on a day-to-day basis. But I would be remiss in my duties if I did not acknowledge that all four of these people, these key players, were brought on board under the leadership of Sue Marie. So we do have that legacy and that history to respect. Our attendance at worship in 2023 was barely 40 people. The following years of declining participation. Last year we saw our congregation grow to sometimes above 70 at our services, with nearly as many sharing their joy together in our fellowship hour. Our Sunday child care program is expanding with some 7 to 9 children every Sunday. And then there is the opening of the Montessori preschool program with a projected enrollment of some 50 young students. For those of you who are curious about how Trinity compares to the other 50 churches in our Presbytery of the Grand Canyon, there are 45 who are smaller than we are and 5 who are larger. So we are one of the most successful, powerful, influential churches in the Presbytery. A quick review of our finances also paints a positive story. We finished 2023, 2 years ago, with a deficit of $213,191, following several years of deficits in excess of $100,000. We finished up 2024 with a modest deficit of $51,000, which included several very large expenses for our building, the $33,625 to re-roof and the $35,382 to replace the HVA system in Grace Mitchell, and the $64,283 to refurbish the Ballard Learning Center, which is really below this sanctuary, not only for the Montessori school, but because it was in very sad repair. That amounted to $133,000. So if you take that out of the equation, we did great. But we had to do that, and it's for the good of the church. As noted previously, we're expecting a balanced budget in 2025. I think that's enough talking about the past. Pastor John, would you like to share us with the dream of the future?
It would be my pleasure. Thank you guys, all y'all, for the continued prayerful support. At some point, really I'm at a loss for words, but that's never stopped me much, as you know. But Greta and I joined this church in 2012, and we were with you through a lot of changes, and some great and phenomenal, and others not so good. They were good, though, ultimately. Because where we are today, when I started this job, I thought I was going to be retired, and God had a different plan for me, and I'm grateful today. In fact, I was very surprised when my wife Greta, who's watching at home because she's sick, but hey darling, that I thought maybe she would be against it when I was approached, and I went up to her, I had prayed about it, and I went up to Greta and she said, yes, that'd be great. And I went, wow, okay, I guess that means the door's open, and I haven't regretted it one bit. It's been fantastic. The thing that you need to know, you probably already know, there's wonderful human beings that come here that have keep the fire burning and the light on, not just to pay the bills, but they keep the light of Christ's love in this place through your decency, through your love and compassion, through your paying attention to detail, particularly if there's one of our members who is going through something, we're always hearing about it. The other thing I want you all to know is that we are so blessed, because I used to work with a big team of people in my previous job as chief of adult probation here in Yavapai County, and I had 112, 115 employees. I had a management team of 20, a budget of almost $10 million, and we were only surveilling about 2,500 people in the 8,200 square mile radius of our county. Anyway, I thought that might impress you, but anyway, so to come here and to really get to know the staff who, had their own experience of the challenges of the change that occurred, got on board almost immediately with me. And I want to thank Bill and Jolene and Kelly and Andy and Spike and Brian, who stayed an extra hour at last minute notice to put us online and has taken our online ministry to the next level. I keep hearing, and I don't know if they're watching today, I'll hear about it next month when I visit them at Las Fuentes. But our Las Fuentes family that I get to visit, that's the other blessing I didn't count on, is to go and do communion with those sweet people who really are praying for our church, and to see Peggy Frelick, who come and prays for our church every day, and to Dick, who takes her the bulletin, and she takes seriously the prayer time, and she prays for our church and prays for us. And that's the kind of thing I didn't know I was totally stepping into. I had an idea, because the reason Greta and I joined this church was because of the warmth and the love and the hospitality that we experienced. And the other thing that, I don't know if you've noticed it, and maybe it's going to count me wrong now because we've been heavy with your time here, but if you do go to the fellowship hour, pay attention to the buzz. It's like nothing I've been a part of in a church. There's a lot of talk, energetic talk, and people that are hanging around and having refreshment. And I want to thank Sue Ford for her leadership with that and getting us all properly fed after the church service. So thank you, Sue, and Clark, and Kate, and others who step up to help. Our Trinity project's going great guns. Just so many good things that are happening. Our cantatas are second to none. I mean that. I'm not being just blowing smoke here. I'm second to none. So thank you, Kelly, for your work. And there's so much good. You may notice that in the Gladys Mitchell Hall, there are 5 initiatives and then a mission statement. Some good souls, our leadership in the church, the volunteers, our staff, we met our deacons, got together, and back in, I believe it was June, decided to help get a retreat so that we could be clear and intentional about what's ahead for us as a church. There's still going to be room for the new pastor to have input, but we're going to have a follow-up. In fact, I'm really tickled because Julie Lancaster, who I wanted in the first place, it was her team that came in. She's going to be coming along with Judy Tyser, for those of you who are at the retreat. You're going to be hearing more about that, but mark your calendar, March 26th will be a follow-up to our retreat, to see okay, what could we do better? What could we do different? What are we doing well? And you may see some adjustments. And here's the other thing about our staff. I said something to Bill and Jolene. We need to keep our intentions, our 5 initiatives in front of us in every meeting that we do, and do it our best ability. And I brought that to Bill and Jolene, and you see those wonderful posters. That's their work. So thanks again to Bill and Jolene for that. I really feel optimistic. If I was a pastor out there, and I believe God is already at work in the heart of some pastor who's getting ready to come here and take us to the next level. And I just really believe that, and it's really true. And you guys make it possible. So thank you. Thanks be to God. Thanks for being a blessing and blessing me and Greta. God bless you.
Are there any questions, comments, suggestions, actions from the congregation? Yes. Oh.
When is the Montessori school going to open is the question.
So when's it going to open?
When's the Montessori school going to open?
Right now it's open. They've been open for 2 weeks. I can't give you an update on number of students. A week ago it was still 0. But
Hey.
they're working hard, but all the permits are in place, the staff's down there working for students, so yes, it's a happening thing. And there's maybe too much information, but one of the things that I recall.
Go in front of the mic, Chip. Go in front of the mic.
Back to the mic. Yes, Montessori school is open. I can't give you an update on the number of students, it's very few. But we are getting revenue from them. The lease we signed with them requires them to pay $2,000 a month plus 5% of the total income. The original lease they requested was 10% of their income per month. And when we sat down with them, renegotiated it, so we've received the first $2,000 check. We're expecting a second $2,000 check shortly. So yes, it is all moving according to plan.
Any further questions? Good question.
Okay, I'll move the authorized session to review and approve the meeting minutes. One of the nice things about that is you don't get the minutes to approve at the next meeting. So that's one less thing for you to do. So that's a motion.
You've heard the motion. Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor, vote aye. Any opposed, like sign, and the motion carries. Thank you, Chip. Good job. Let's hear it for Chip Shea. And I don't know that I need a motion, but all in favor of adjourning this meeting, please stand and for the closing prayer. God, thank you for Trinity Presbyterian Church and for every member, both past and present, and for those that are about to join and be a part of our fellowship, and for the pastor who will be coming, and for our PNC group, the dedicated volunteers who are giving it their all, in acknowledgement that you are at work already in our church to help us to be healers in the world and to be a blessing. Thank you for the blessing of this church. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Go in peace.